Hello, everybody. Today is the 25th of March, 2010. We lost one of the greatest rock photographers of all time, if not the greatest. They call him the godfather of rock photography. His name was Jim Marshall. Um, I didn't know Jim until 2007, and I didn't really know of his work until 2007 when I met him in San Francisco when on tour with Ari with Perry Farrell and Satellite Party, and we were at an event at Bloomingdale's for John Varvatos, and they bring in this guy, this older gentleman with a nose that's like punched into his face, and he always said it was from holding his camera, so close to his nose that it smushed it down and all of that good stuff. And this guy was cursing up a storm and telling stories and just really loved being there. And he had a scotch in one hand because that's what he loved. So that's where we met him, or where I met him, and Ari as well, in San Francisco. And we talked for a little bit. I showed him my work, and he kept smacking me in the side of the head. He kept going, "I love you," and he just kept smacking me. And that was very interesting. Very, I think he took a liking to the work that I did because it was very similar to how he captured things. He has, the saying, or it's written in a lot of his books, where if you don't give him all access, he says, "Fuck you, I won't do it." And and if he does get access, he says, "You can't tell me what not to do and what to do." It's all about the respect. He knows that if he captures something that he shouldn't put out, he's not going to put it out. And he picked whatever images went out. He never, was told that you picked the wrong image and you should let us edit the images down to tell you which ones can go out, which happens now. He was there to make his own decision, and nobody ever complained. From Janis Joplin to Jimi Hendrix to Bob Dylan, they all know that he's going to put out the best work, and I've modeled myself after that. And I think it's better that I met him later in my career than earlier because, maybe earlier I would have tried to emulate what he did instead of discovering it myself and capturing things in the same way that similar to how he did it. Yes, I was, started in film and then shot digital, and he continued to shoot Leica forever. He never went to digital, but discovering his work later on was amazing. So, if you don't know his work, go look it up. He shot the picture of Johnny Cash giving the finger at Folsom Prison, one of his most famous shots. Janis Joplin with the bottle of Southern Comfort. A ton of jazz musicians, because that's where he got his start in music, was with jazz musicians. And Jimi Hendrix. He tells a story of how he met Jimi Hendrix, and Jim Marshall is Jim's name, and Jimi Hendrix goes to him, "Marshall makes my amps," and stuff like that. And also his middle name is Marshall. So there was a very interesting story. He tells them in his books. And the first book that I picked up from Jim is called Not Fade Away, and it's just an amazing collection of black and white images and stories to go along with everything. And it's no bullshit stories. He only says it like it is, or he said it, he said it like it was, and nothing else. He wanted all access because that's how you capture the real images. You get access. You don't, today when you show up, they want you to shoot 3 songs and get out of there because these bands, not so much always the bands many times want you to do whatever you want, but that's another story. The labels and management tell you only get 3 songs and then you gotta leave and you can't shoot backstage because they're busy. That's bullshit. There's ways of befriending the bands and having them allow you the access. And, you need the respect first. You need to show them your work and they'll let you in. His last book that came out is called Trust. It mixes a lot of, his color images with a lot of black and white images, a lot of different ones than what's in Not Fade Away. And this is just, more stories behind the images. And it's just, great things. And here's the thing I took away from Jim. Another thing. He didn't like cropping. He hated cropping. He said he only cropped 2 pictures, I believe, ever, and one was a John Lennon photo where you could read the writer in the dressing room, and he cropped it out just because he didn't want the writer shown. But he didn't like cropping. He shot it like it was. So, if it's good enough for Jim, it's good enough for me. Another thing, Jim was coming to New York a couple years ago, and he gave me his number to call him whenever, and said, whenever I'm in town, give me a call. We'll get together. So we got together once, Ari and I, at his hotel, and sat and had drinks with him, and talked cameras, and just talked about his future books coming out, and just shot the shit, which is great. Another time, we met him at the Morrison Hotel Gallery where he was having a show, and we took a walk to a bar, and he bought us a couple drinks, and we sat there and we talked, and I showed him some of my work from Perry's tour, and he took a liking to Perry and his underwear, and he said, send me an 11 by 14 of this, and I'll send you an 11 by 14 of whatever you want. We'll trade. So he traded one of my shots for one of his shots, which was amazing. And I picked the one right back there, which is the last show the Beatles played at Candlestick Park. He was the only photographer allowed in, and that's the picture I took because it was just, an amazing shot. So we traded for that. The last time he came into New York, I met up with him again. That was for his last show to talk about the book Trust, and we talked for a little bit, and it's just, it's a shame. He lived hard, he played hard, he toured hard with these guys, but he captured great images. He was just an amazing photographer. So if you don't have his books, I suggest I listed them below in a widget, so you can take a look and read them over and decide if you want to pick one up. But they're just amazing books to sit through and read. His stories were incredible. If you sit and talk with him anywhere, there's going to be a lot of cursing. There should be angry people around you not knowing who he is. That just, if he says the wrong words, which he has done in the past, that could really upset people. And, another thing to take away is he owned all the rights to his images. He didn't get rid of them. If somebody wanted him to sign his rights over, he wouldn't do it. He'd say, fuck you. I won't do it. So that's just how he was. So that's that. Take a look at his work. Read up on it. Study this guy. He is really the godfather of rock and roll photography. He was there at the beginning. He went through all the stages of music, and he continued to shoot up until the day he died. And he did it his way, and that was it. So hopefully you guys learned something from it, and take a look at those books. They're really good. See ya.